When I was a cop, Regis Korchinski-Paquet became a name for injustice, a name for a lack of police accountability, and a name synonymous with police violence. The Korchinski family has suffered for years, not knowing what happened to their daughter Regis. The Toronto Police Service and the Special Investigations Unit ignored their questions and requests for the truth. The investigation into her death was flawed from the very beginning, putting into question what exactly happened in apartment 2416. This is Peter and Claudette Korchinski, the parents of Regis. A few weeks ago, they contacted me and asked me to look into their case. I met with both Peter and Claudette separately to find out what happened on that day. I'm going to let you hear what they witnessed and experienced at the hands of the Toronto Police and the Special Investigations Unit. This is their account of the events that happened that day.
I called the wellness check because I wanted some help. I wanted the police to come in and take my daughter to CAMH because I just wanted her to be someplace for like 24 hours, 47 hours. Like, I would be fine with that. So anyway, I called them, and they took forever, first of all, to get to our house. Okay? But by the time they got there, Regis was fine. So we went and we met them at the elevator. And so I asked them, like, listen, I called you, I'm having a problem. And I'm be honest, I said, I wanted everybody removed from my house. I'm 60 years old, I'm just tired of this here. I can't handle this anymore. So they came in, they said they weren't removing anybody from the house. So anyway, Regis is out in the hallway, she's talking to them because I'm basically walking back and forth because I'm beside myself, like I was not having a good day. So I noticed where they threw her down in the hallway. I don't understand why they threw her down. Walk back down the hall, she's talking to them. Anyway, I don't know why they threw her down on the ground in the hallway, but they did. And so anyway, I kept saying, like, I just want you guys to take her to CAMH, like, please just take her to CAMH, like, she'll be fine, just take her, she had a seizure. And I just don't want any more trouble at the house. So anyway, like I said again, they said they weren't removing anybody from the house. They were asking me a couple of questions, but the bottom line, they weren't. They asked who was on the lease, and I said I said myself, Regis, and Reese. So that's why they said they weren't going to remove anybody from the house. So a couple of minutes go by, Regis says, I was like, well, if you're not removing anybody from my house, then why are you here? Okay? So anyway, Regis says, I need to use the bathroom. But if you're not removing nobody from the house, why are you going in my house with Regis? For what? So then they back Regis out to the balcony. Okay, but then they lied, but they did. Regis did not, because when you come into our door, the bathroom, you come around the corner, there's the bathroom, right down there. That's not where Regis went. And it was 4 or 5 of them that backed her out towards the balcony. That's all I could really see. I didn't see when she went out on the balcony, but I did see her being pushed basically to the balcony, to that door. So anyway, I hear Regis is there, and I hear this scream. First I didn't hear anything, then I hear a scream, Mom, help. But I'm angry, okay? So I'm thinking, you know what, they're just putting handcuffs on her. They're going to take her to CAMH. Then I hear, Mom, help. And I didn't do anything. And I always will feel bad about that, because I should have rushed to my daughter. But I just thought the police were taking her to CAMH. And then the last one was, Mom, help me. And I didn't hear nothing else, so I said, where's my daughter? Like, where's Regis? So he goes, well, she's next door. remember, we're 24 flights up. We're 24 flights up. Okay, there's a net on my next door neighbor's balcony, so you can't get through. No, you can't. So I said, what do you mean? She's on the next balcony. And can I say exactly what I said? Okay, I was like, what the fuck? Like, are you out of your mind? That's impossible. So then he takes his time, he walks through the apartment, he goes to the next door, the next apartment. He knocks on the door, nobody comes to the door. And I said, I told you nobody's there. So then he comes back in, goes back over to the balcony, he goes, she's on the 23rd floor. I was like, what the fuck? Like, no, she's not. So then he comes back over and I was like, my fucking daughter better not be on the ground. My fucking daughter better not be on the ground. He goes back over to the balcony, comes back to me, he looks me dead in my face and he goes, yes, she's on the ground. Okay, then they don't run out of my house or nothing. They take their good old time and walk out of my place. Yep, inside they take their good, when I tell you they take their good old time and walk, they tell me and Reese that we're not allowed to come downstairs. So they made us stay upstairs. Me and Reese went down after a couple of minutes. And then what I noticed was within a half an hour they were all gone. And a whole new team came in. Now they told me that, well, they didn't tell me, but I called CB24 and they had already gotten a phone call from the police saying that Regis had committed suicide. Because I asked them to come out and they said no, they weren't going to come out because the police already called them and said that Regis had committed suicide. So that's when we went live.
Here's the first officer on scene, Constable Waddell. The Constable Waddell is carrying a non-lethal shotgun. When Officer Waddell arrives, he is holding the gun with his right arm as soon as he gets off the elevator. He then proceeds down the hallway, now slinging that shotgun over his body now. When the Toronto police arrive, they are met by Regis and her brother Reese at the elevator. They then proceed down the hall, where they take Regis to the ground. Now, according to Miss Korchinski, Regis was calm, so why would they take her to the ground? The officers then let Regis get up and walk inside the apartment to use the washroom. It was at this time Miss Korchinski hears Regis's cries for help. Help, Mom. Help, Mom. Help, Mom. 3 times. And then now you'll see Constable Waddell exit the apartment with a shotgun taken off of his body, where he is now holding it slung over his right shoulder. There was never any claim from Constable Waddell that he had used his shotgun inside the apartment. So why would Constable Waddell need to take his shotgun off that was strapped across his body inside of the apartment? Regis was no threat, as she was allowed to go inside the apartment to use the washroom. And according to Miss Korchinski, she also observed Constable Waddell pushing Regis towards the balcony door, where Regis tripped over an upright air conditioning unit.
They backed Regis out to the balcony, okay, but then they lied, but they did. Regis did not, because when you come into our door, the bathroom, you come around the corner, there's the bathroom right down there. That's not where Regis went. And it was 4 or 5 of them that backed her out towards the balcony. That's all I could really see. I didn't see when she went out on the balcony, but I did see her being pushed basically to the balcony.
According to Toronto police records, Regis ran out onto the balcony. held the screen door shut, while at the same time trying to scale the balcony in order to get next door. How is that possible? And according to building management, Regis had been speaking to them numerous times, weeks prior to her death, about having them put netting on all balconies because it was not safe. This is where Regis lived, at 100 High Park Avenue, Unit 2416. Her balcony is 245 feet from the ground. So according to the officers on scene, they advised that Regis fell from her balcony to her death. So you mean to tell me that Regis, a 29-year-old female weighing 100 pounds, held a screen door shut against 5 large Toronto police officers inside of that apartment, then scaled the balcony 245 feet above the ground to get away from them? She had already been permitted by the on-scene officers to go inside the apartment to use the washroom. So if the Toronto police are trained, like Chief Raymer said they were, then why would they let a suicidal person free rein to come and go from a 24th story apartment if they feared for her safety?
But I did have a fan. Like, she was lying on the couch and she was just like so peaceful, so comfortable. And I remember last thing I did was I couldn't get the
Take your time, I don't know.
after they had this conversation, my son and my wife started to walk away. When they started,
Sorry, where was Regis at this time?
Regis was
Still in the hallway?
She's still in the hallway because they were kind of like blocked her in, I think, and they started pushing her around because my son said he heard some noise, and then he turned around because he was almost at the end of the hallway again near their apartment.
Yeah.
And he turns around and they're like up against the wall, like pushing her
They
around.
took her to the ground, didn't they?
Well, this is before Waddell
Okay.
put her to the ground.
Okay.
They were saying whatever to her, like to get her angry. And at one point, she said, like, "Oh, watch when my dad gets here. My dad's white." And I don't know what they said to her because the microphones, right? It's all gone, right? So. She went in the washroom. Now I think while she was in the hallway still, she gave me a call. And
How did she sound on the phone?
scared.
She
She
was
even
distraught,
told me
right?
she was scared. She goes like, "Dad, I'm scared." And I'm like, I'm in Markham, right? I'm like ready to go back to Toronto. I go, it's 5:30 and 5:36 she called me. So I was like, I'm in this traffic. I go, and I can't get there, and I'm trying to, you know,
Must have been hard.
I didn't even know the police were there. I don't think, because I would have said, put him on the phone. But for some reason, I just shaking my head, thinking, oh my God, what the hell is going to happen? I started driving, and I'm going down 14th Avenue, and it's like really sunny out and hot. And by the time I crossed Kennedy, by the time I got to Warden Avenue, which is like 3 or 4 kilometers, I got the phone call. We just went off the balcony. And I remember just throwing my phone down on the ground. And I had to pull over. Ambulance came. My blood pressure was through the roof. And I ended up somehow making it way downtown.
Who called you?
My daughter-in-law. Yeah.
Not that it matters.
Yeah. Sorry. Ended up making my way downtown. I got there the same time as my other daughter did. And then there was Regis, like an orange tarp over her. And I remember walking over, past my wife, didn't say nothing to her, just looked at her. Walked over to one of the cops there, the detective probably, and I looked at him. I says, "Where's the body cams?" He looked at me. He's like, he goes, we didn't have any. I don't know. I go, where's the cops? He goes, they're gone.
According to Mr. Korchinski, Regis's body was left lying on the ground for 6 hours. That's 6 hours after Regis fell from the balcony. The original officers had left the scene. The Special Investigations Unit was now on the scene, but said absolutely nothing to the family, while their daughter was left lifeless on the ground after falling 245 feet to her death. Every balcony at 100 Hyde Park Avenue has partitions dividing all apartments, as well as netting used on the partitions, making it impossible to reach the other balcony next door. The Toronto Police also advised that Regis was on the ledge while holding the screen door shut. This would be impossible. If what the Toronto Police are saying is true, the fact that Regis fell on her own from the ledge, then why did her body end up more than 20 feet away from the building? According to experts, a fall straight down, with weather conditions perfect and the ground being soft as it was May, the body would not have bounced and landed right below her balcony. The Toronto Police cannot explain this. I'm no expert, but to me, this is indicative of a push by someone or an object, and not a straight fall from the 24th story balcony. Another key piece of evidence is, according to Mr. Korchinski, Regis, while inside the apartment, while the police were there, made a WhatsApp video call to her friend who witnessed the police roughing up Regis inside the apartment. That phone was never found or seen again. Even after numerous requests from the Korchinskis, the police advised that that phone had gone missing. The first autopsy was performed on May 28, 2020, by Dr. Alan Shivitz from the Provincial Coroner's Office. This autopsy included SIU officer Paul Granton. Dr. Shivitz advised that during the autopsy that Regis's hyoid bone had been cracked, most likely occurring before the fall. The hyoid bone is located between the mandible and the larynx in the upper neck region near the base of the tongue. Now, how would this bone suffer an injury before the fall unless this occurred during police presence?
So we knew that she wasn't going to get cremated because she's going for a second autopsy. So her casket goes back to the funeral home. Two or 3 weeks go by. I get a call from the funeral director. Hi, Peter. I go, yeah, I think it's time to cremate Regis. I'm like, excuse me? Cremate her? She's going for a second autopsy. He goes, oh, yeah, he goes, because the body's deteriorating. I go, she's going for a second autopsy. I go, where is the body? It's sitting here. I'm like, is it being refrigerated? No.
Oh, God.
They left it out. Who leaves a body in the funeral home without refrigeration for 2 to 3 weeks?
The second autopsy was performed by Dr. Nash Denick from the St. John's Health Sciences Center. This autopsy took place on July 15th, 2020, 49 days after the first autopsy. Now we go to line 5. The body at the time of the second autopsy was in a state of decomposition, mummification, and saponification because of prolonged environmental exposure. Consequently, some of the external injuries described during the first autopsy could not be verified and may have been altered by post-mortem changes. So during the second autopsy, there were numerous questions asked to the coroner. And line number 2, the question is, any evidence of a physical struggle? So on the left upper arm, there is a group of oval contusions situated in succession, one below the other, resembling fingerprint or fingertip grab marks. Now, these injuries may have occurred during a struggle, as one being forcefully grabbed by the arm. On the right upper back, there is a recent contusion that was depicted on the original post-mortem image, but not explored during the first autopsy. Again, another mistake by the first doctor in the first autopsy. While most of the injuries on the body were located on the front surface of the body, this particular injury is present on the back. Therefore, it must have occurred before the impact on the ground. This is a blunt force injury inflicted by a blunt force, which may include the direct impact onto the body by a blunt object. Now, this doctor states fist, foot, knee, etc. It also could be a shotgun butt, a shotgun barrel, or any other weapon that the police had on them at that time. Now, Dr. Denick was also asked the question if there's any other injuries of unknown origin on the body. And he responded by, on the left lateral chest, there was a patterned type of injury composed of similar square-shaped abrasions positioned below each other. Now, these injuries may have occurred before or after the fall, with the object of a similar shape impacting the body or body landing on it. Now, I know that the police have the shotguns, and the butt of the shotgun has a pattern on it. Now, the biggest mystery in this whole investigation to me is that during the second autopsy, the hyoid bone was missing.
First off, my condolences go to the family with regards to this particular incident. Any loss of life is something that we do take seriously as a police agency, and I will tell you, I stand for transparency and accountability 100%.
And what really hurt me was Saunders resigned it. So I know for a fact, okay, so I should say I know with my gut, I got that gut feeling that he actually knows what happened in my house. He resigned 2 months later. Come on. You're a black man, trust me. Black men don't resign like that, okay? Unless there's something that seriously happened. What I don't understand is why Saunders would resign after 2 months after my daughter was killed by, 1 month after my daughter was killed by the police. I don't understand that. I have a gut feeling that Saunders actually knows exactly what took place in my apartment that day. And he needs to be called out on this, because he should be able to come out, face us, and let us know what went on within the police department. He was the police chief. He didn't come out, he didn't apologize to any of us. Justin Trudeau did the same garbage. You apologized to George Floyd's family in the States, but we're the Canadians here who voted for you. The Americans don't vote for Justin Trudeau, but what did he do? You think he ever sat down, took any time out to get together with these parents to see we were grieving? He didn't care. And this is supposed to be our Prime Minister.
Paquet. As detailed in the SIU's release today, multiple urgent calls were made to 911 seeking assistance for a domestic disturbance involving an assault, weapons, and multiple people. As it was a priority call for emergency response, the Toronto Police Service were dispatched and arrived within minutes. Toronto paramedics were also present. What happened next was the subject of the SIU's investigation. The Toronto Police Service and each of the officers involved in this tragic incident participated fully in the SIU's investigation. The service had also publicly urged any witnesses to contact the SIU to ensure all information was available to the independent investigation. As they outlined today, the SIU has cleared our officers of wrongdoing and determined that they acted appropriately and within the law. The trust of the public is of paramount importance to us as a police service. As such, it is very important that the full timeline and the facts from all sides have been released, and the details of a very volatile scene to which the officers arrived and tried to manage are now available. Our officers are highly trained to deal with intense, dynamic situations, and they acted professionally and followed their training to the best of their abilities.
Hello, my name is Joseph Martino, Director of the SIU, or Special Investigations Unit. On May 27, 2020, Regis Korchinski-Paquet fell tragically to her death from the balcony of her 24th floor apartment in Toronto. Because Toronto Police Service officers had interacted with her and were present in her apartment at the time of the fall, the SIU was notified and commenced an investigation. The investigation is now concluded. On my review of the evidence, there are no reasonable grounds to believe that any of the officers committed a criminal offense in connection with Ms. Korchinski-Paquet's death. The SIU has notified the family and their representatives of the results of our investigation and the decision, and provided them a copy of our report. The Toronto Police Service and their involved officers have also been notified.
Even the former head of the SIU, Howard Morton, weighed in on the situation and advised that a Toronto police officer should have been charged, as there was criminality involved.
The independent family investigation had uncovered there was clearly a strong foundation for criminal liability on the part of at least one of the officers who was in that apartment when Regis fell to her death.
As I was ending this film on January 13th, 2025, I was made aware of yet another suspicious death at the same building where Regis lived. What are the chances? Both falls involve the Toronto Police. Again. Both falls involve the SIU. Again. What will come of this now? So what did happen in apartment 2416? The Toronto Police Service is well known for cover-ups. They lack the training required to deal with even the simplest situations. The Korchinskis called the police for help. Regis had just suffered a seizure and needed help. But instead, she fell to her death instead of receiving the help that she so deserved. The Toronto Police and the SIU work hand in hand with one another. I witnessed this firsthand as a Toronto police officer myself. Things must change. That changes now. Believe me when I say this. The public's lack of trust grows daily. The Korchinski family deserves better. Their life has forever been altered. A beautiful soul lost to incompetence. I want to thank the Korchinski family for allowing me to make this film and for the unfettered access they have granted me.
Down. Hit. 2, 3, 4. One more. 5. Good job. High five, man. We're gonna practice these every day, right? Okay, good job.